So, dear students, welcome you all in this virtual process of learning. And today, myself, Dr. Harish Kumar, I'm welcoming you all on the behalf of the School of Media and Communication Studies. Today, we are going to understand about the communication because communication is playing a major role as as you all are aware that introduction to mass communication is one of the basic course which is a kind of attempt to guide you about how communication can fulfill your need, how communication can play a major role in society. At the same time, it will also provide you basic knowledge how you can improve your communication skill. So let us start the things. Before we are going to start this conversation, we would like to tell you about the objective of this course. This course is designed and introduced to provide a glimpse of understanding communication from broader perspectives, how it is related to media and society. Thus, this subject will provide concepts, theory, and practical aspects of communication. During the process of learning, you'll learn about different models of communication. You'll learn about the uh, elements of communication. You'll learn about the process of communication. At the same time, you'll also learn how to deal with others. So I think that this particular course is going to benefit you a lot. So students, we should know what is communication. Right now, the process of communication is going on, and you are the receiver, I'm the sender, or if you say something, then you are the sender and I'm the receiver. So basically, we should know what is communication. Communication word is being derived from the Latin word communis, which means to make common. Through communication, we are going to make different things common in nature because we are going to share our idea, we are going to share our own experience, and in this particular manner, we are going to provide a base for commonness. According to Oxford Dictionary, communication is a process of expressing ideas and feelings or of giving people information. So if we are going to explain this particular definition, we find that communication is a process of expressing ideas and feelings through which we are going to just tell others about our own feelings. We are going to tell about emotions that we have. And at the same time, we are going to provide valuable information. So right now, as you all are aware that media and mass communication is especially playing a major role in providing information. So it is just a tool of communication. One of the most important thing is that language are the codes of communication. So you'll find that there are different codes of communication, and that is why you'll find that there are different kinds of languages. If we are familiar with a particular kind of code, then we can easily understand the language. If you are not familiar with different kinds of code, then it will create a kind of problem. So basically, in communication, all these things are very important for us. So communication is the transmission of a message from a source to the receiver. So in the process of communication, you will find that there is a source and there is a receiver. So you'll find that there is a kind of transmission of the message. Right now, the transmission of the message is going on. So in this particular manner, we can understand about communication. In the same continuation, we should know about standard definition which was given by different renowned person and scholars. According to Aristotle, communication is a means of persuasion to influence others so that desired effect is achieved. So if we are going to study this particular definition, we are getting that communication is a means of persuasion. It means with the help of communication, we can persuade others to behave in a certain way. Apart from it, there is another concept, and this particular concept is related with influence. It means With the help of communication, you can influence other, and apart from it, you can get different tasks done because you'll be getting desired effect. If you want that you are going to change the mindset of others, so with the help of communication you can just make an attempt to change the mindset of others. Different advertisers, different celebrities, or different corporate houses, they're just trying to have a kind of impact on the receiver, and in this particular manner they want that the people should behave in a certain way, or they want to change the mindset of others. So communication is one of the most effective tool in this particular regard. Apart from it, according to John Davy, communication is a process of sharing experience till it becomes a common position. So basically you'll find that through the process of communication we are going to share our own experience, and thereafter it will become a common kind of thing. Right now I'm just sharing something with you, and if you are getting all the information in a proper manner, you are just using your brain, you are also using your own experience, and in this particular manner you can also make the things common. So you'll find that after it the process of communication will complete. So students, after going through all the definitions and the information, we can say that communication is a process through which we can share our idea, experience, emotion, information with others. So you'll find that communication is a very important thing for our own life. Without communicating, we are not going to survive. You are going to communicate at each and every walk of your life. Whenever you are at home, you are going to communicate with your family members. When you are at office, you are going to communicate with your colleagues. Right now we are not sitting at one particular place, still we are able to communicate something. We are communicating in the particular manner. We are just going to share our own experience. So in the process of learning also, you'll find that we are just a tool, and the basic thing is related with how effectively we are able to share our own experience, whether we are able to communicate properly or not, whether we are able to disseminate the message to the desired person, whether we are able to emotionally connect the person. So if we are just going to monitor all the things, we will find that if we are able to just complete these kinds of things, then our purpose of communication will be fulfilled. So dear students, till now you have understood about the concept of communication. You understood about why we are going for communication. Basically, you'll find that communication is a basic need of each and every individual of the society. Without having a communication, we are not able to survive. Right now, if anybody just tells you that you have not to communicate anything for 1 day or 2 day, then you'll face a lot of problem, because communication is in your habit. You used to communicate for various kinds of uh, things, like if you are in a trouble, then you are going to communicate to your friends that you are facing this problem. Many times you used to share the information to your parents because you feel that parents can solve your problem. So whether you are happy, whether you are tensed, or whether you want some guidance, each and every time you used to communicate with others. And especially in this particular world where communication is really playing a major role for all of us, we should know about the process of communication. So if you are familiar with the process of communication, then ultimately you can modify the way you used to communicate with others. At the same time, you will just try to pick up the different kinds of elements which are suitable for your own communication. So as you are watching this particular slide, you find that in this particular slide, there is a concept of sender. So basically, sender is the person who is going to send the kind of information, or the person who is going to communicate something. And in this particular order, what you're going to do, you are going to encode the masses. You are going to just put different kinds of sign and symbols. As I told you earlier, that the language is also one of the code in which you are going to communicate something. Right now, I'm just going to communicate just with the help of a particular language, which is English. So if you are familiar with this particular language, then you can understand what I'm saying to you. So in the process of encoding, I'm just, using a particular kind of code, and this particular code is related with language English. Apart from it, in the process of encoding, you are also going to take the help of some non-verbal elements also. Sometimes you're nodding, sometimes you are no, you are using different kinds of color, sometimes your facial expression is also going to communicate something. So in the process of communication, you'll find that the sender used to encode the masses, and thereafter that particular person used to transmit the masses with the help of a particular kind of medium. Right now I'm communicating with you, and as far as the medium is concerned, this is online platform. So basically you'll find that when you want that my communication should be effective one, then the selection of medium is also very important for you. The way you are going to select a particular medium, if it is not proper, or receivers are not familiar with the kind of medium, then ultimately it will hamper your own communication strategy. So that's why proper selection of the medium is also one of the important thing whenever you are going to think about communication. And thereafter you'll find that there's a concept of decoding. So when you encoded the masses, it is being decoded by the person who is the receiver of the masses. So when you decided that this particular person or this particular group will be the receiver, then that particular group or that particular person is going to decode the masses. As I told you earlier, that in the process of communication, if the person is familiar with the kind of sign, if the person is familiar with the kind of symbol, if the person is familiar with different kinds of non-verbal elements also, then that particular thing will be perceived properly by different kinds of receivers. So in the process of communication, you will find, as far as this particular communication is concerned, uh, actually it depends on the receiver's capability also. Thereafter, if there is any particular doubt, or you'll find that many times it happens that receivers all are also going to get some valuable information, still they want some more elaboration about it. And in the process of communication, at one particular moment, this particular receiver is working as a receiver, and thereafter if that particular person is going to react something, that particular person is going to give some sorts of feedback, or if that particular person is having some query, then that particular person become sender. So right now you'll find that in the process of communication, this receiver also become sender, and it is, a kind of feedback. You can also say that kind of feedback. Sometimes it happens that even in classroom, when we are getting feedback properly, that you have understood the masses, then we are going to uh, just incorporate the things that okay, you have understood all the things. But if you are not understanding the things, then we have to change the mechanism. We are going to improve ourselves. So feedback is a kind of process which helps us in rectifying our own way of communication, and on the basis of feedback we are able to make certain kind of response. So right now, on the basis of feedback that you're watching right now, uh, I'm just also becoming a receiver. So the sender is also working like a receiver. So this is called dynamic process of communication. In the dynamic process of communication, the sender is also working like a receiver when that particular sender is getting messages from the receiver. And the receiver is also working like a sender. So in this particular manner, the process of communication takes place. So dear students, we discussed about the process of communication, and we are just going to elaborate this process again for you, because if you understand the process of communication properly, then definitely you will just try to involve different elements in your own communication, which can just improve the effectiveness of your own communication. So when we are going to communicate anything, we should know the process of communication. So right now, as you are just watching, you find that we used to interpret various kinds of things. We used to interpret the masses when we want to form any kind of thing. We are thinking about it, we are going to visualize something, and thereafter we are going to form a particular masses, and in this particular regard we are going to encode the masses. In the process of encoding, you will find that we used to encode the masses in a different manner. Sometimes you are going to take the help of any visual. Sometimes you are going for verbal communication, in which you are going to take the help of different languages. Sometimes you are going to communicate with the help of non-verbal communication. So in the process of encoding, you're just going to incorporate verbal as well as non-verbal element. In the process of encoding, you'll find that basically different non-verbal communication or non-verbal elements are also playing a major role, because the way you are going to use different colors, the way you are going to use different kinds of sign and symbols, the way you are going to dress up yourself, the way you are going to just make your facial expression, all the things are very important for an effective message or a communication. So in the process of communication, basically we are going to encode the message, and thereafter it is going to another person, and this particular person starts decoding the information. If that particular person is familiar with the kind of code, if the particular person is familiar with the kind of sign and symbol, then that particular person can easily interpret the masses. If the particular person is not having that particular experience, then that particular person is not able to perceive the masses. You can say that in a proper manner, like the message that you sent is having, suppose 10 elements or 15 elements that you communicated, but there might be a possibility that that particular person can understand only 10 elements from that particular message, because that particular person was not familiar with the sign and symbol. That particular person's psyche was different. That particular person, analytical power was different. His or her psyche was different. You'll find that analytical power of each and every person differ, because each and every person used to interpret the masses on the basis of his or her own experience. If that person is familiar with the kind of sign and symbol, then definitely that person will be able to understand the masses properly. And after the process of interpretation, if the particular person feel that there is a need of communication, there is a particular kind of information which is required, then that person also give feedback, and for that purpose that person starts encoding the masses, you are just getting the masses right now. And thereafter, if you are not satisfied with any fact, any information, you want some more information, then ultimately it starts encoding the things. You start encoding the things, and thereafter you are going to pass that information to me. in the form of feedback. So in this particular manner, as you're watching right now, there is a feedback of the information, there is a feedback of the communication. So this particular feedback is going towards the sender again. So thereafter, that particular person starts decoding the information. So you'll find that in the process of communication, each and every person is working like a sender, as well as that particular person is working like a receiver. At one particular time, one particular person is going to start the process of encoding the message. On the other hand, that particular person is also decoding the message. So for the sake of effectiveness of the communication, each and every person should just follow this particular kind of thing. If any communication is a kind of communication in which you're not getting a proper feedback, you're not getting any particular kind of response, it means there is some problem with the communication, because communication attracts the attention of others. So whenever you are going to communicate, you are going to provide ample opportunity to the respondent, to the receiver, and the receivers are also going to react. Sometimes we feel that a particular person has not given any kind of indication, or that particular person has not given any kind of information or a message. But we should just try to analyze the silence. Silence is also a kind of meaning. Either that you have to just interpret the information that you are getting, and in this particular manner you can move further. So the process of communication is very important for us. So being a journalist, being a media person, it's our own responsibility or liability to understand different mechanism of the communication. Whenever you are going to conduct any interview, whenever you are going to do any reporting, you have to incorporate the message in such a manner so that the maximum number of the person can understand your communication. If there is any kind of lacuna, if there is any kind of ambiguity, then it also creates a kind of problem, and that particular thing can create a lot of trouble. So that's why we should just try to understand the things properly before making any kind of communication. We should just try to do proper planning, and only then you will be able to just make a good message. So as far as communication as a stream is concerned, so basically you'll find that as a discipline, it grew within American academic or university structures. Its history as well as its standing with the traditional social sciences like anthropology, economics, political science, psychology, and sociology. Basically, these streams emerged in Europe, and it's towards the end of the 19th century. So you find that as far as this particular communication stream is concerned, basically just to strengthen this particular stream, Wilbur Schramm was a person who played a major role as far as uh, just strengthening of this particular stream is concerned, because he started the courses in journalism and communication in United States, and in this particular regard, the first graduate program was started in communication and journalism in the year 1948 in the University of Illinois. And thereafter, we just found that the other university also came forward, and they started their courses in communication and journalism. So as you all are aware that journalism is also one of the tool of particular communication, because you are going to communicate about the event, you are going to communicate about the incident, you are going to communicate about different happenings of the world. And in this particular regard, we should not forget that the communication was used earlier as a tool of propaganda. It also used as a tool to build the image of a particular person or society. But at the same time, we should not forget that communication can barely really bring a change in society if we are going to use it in a proper manner. So therefore, students, today we learned about communication, what is communication, and apart from it, I also discussed with you about the process of communication. I also discussed with you about how, as a particular kind of medium, communication came forward, and in this particular regard, how a particular course in journalism and communication was started in USA. So at last we can say that communication establishes relationships and makes conversation possible. Every message has a purpose or objective. The sender intends, whether it is a consciously or unconsciously, to accomplish something by communicating. In this context, we use to communicate for fulfilling various kinds of objectives, like to motivate others, to inform others, to teach something, to persuade others, and to entertain others. So in this particular manner, we are going to communicate, and without having communication, really will not be able to survive. So dear students, the question after this lecture is related with your real experience. Daily, you used to communicate, and in this particular regard, you used to communicate in a different manner. And you used to communicate for various kinds of objectives, just to fulfill different kinds of objectives, and just to fulfill different kinds of need. So that's why the question is related with, you have to identify the need of communication in this particular society. Why society requires a proper mechanism of communication. For more information, you can refer these websites and these publications. So thank you all for becoming a very important participant in the process of communication. We'll meet again. Till then, namaskar.